News and Information Station.
Welcome back. I'm Vincent Perryman and you're watching Legalese. Joining us on our show is Russell Lewis, a local attorney, and we are talking about nursing home abuse and neglect. Rusty, before the break we kind of went into what gives rise to a nursing home litigation. I think the best place to go from there is really what are the typical elements in a nursing home case?
Absolutely. Much like any other injury case, a nursing home case requires that there be a duty that's established. We have to demonstrate a breach of the duty, and we have to show that the breach of the duty caused harm to the nursing home resident, and then we have to show the damages that flow from that breach of duty. This is just like any other case. So the most challenging area in a nursing home case will typically be the damages element. In a car wreck type case, you have medical bills and you may have damages that result from loss of earnings or employment if someone's injured and can't go back to work. One of the challenges in a nursing home case is your typical nursing home resident doesn't have a source of income from employment. So you're normally limited to medical bills as far as economic damages go. And one of the challenges there is the person is already in a nursing home, so they're already incurring medical bills. So what I have to do is determine what medical bills are specifically related to the failures of the nursing home. And that can be a challenge in that type of setting. Because you're dealing with medical science, you have to consider a person's condition before negligence, and you have to demonstrate that the additional medical expenses are directly related to the breach in duty of the nursing home.
Okay. So, and then I guess on that, the damages portion of it, once that's kind of figured out there, then what are you looking at litigation-wise, I guess, with this? Do you just go and you file the suit immediately, or what's the steps?
Well, every case is different. We analyze every case when it comes in the door as we would a medical malpractice case. As with this is medically intensive, we use doctors and nurses to examine all of the records. And we have to have expert testimony in this case to establish the person's condition before the negligence and the person's condition after the negligence, and show the direct relationship between the negligence and the harm that it causes. That's almost exactly like what you would need in a medical malpractice case. Some courts have determined that certain things that happen in a nursing home are to be considered as medical malpractice, and other instances of conduct are to be considered as general negligence. Out of an abundance of caution, my personal practice is to examine every one of these cases as if I'll have to prove it like a medical malpractice case.
Okay. And just to be clear for anybody at home that may be watching this on, you know, these expert witnesses, these are expert witnesses that are doctors, or they're medical experts, correct?
Absolutely. They're experts that are trained in the medical field, and we use both nurses and doctors.
Okay. And with this, once you've kind of examined the facts and everything, then what's where would a client, if they came in, what would they expect after you've gone through and you've examined it? I would assume you sit down with them and go over what the game plan is.
Absolutely. We're very selective on these cases, and I would estimate that we turn down 19 out of every 20 that walk in the door. We probably accept 5% of the nursing home cases that present to us.
I hope the state legislature is watching this, because you know everybody always says we just accept every case and are sue happy as a society.
Well, that's what some people believe, but I can't make money and keep my lights on by taking cases that are not meritorious, and it's a disservice to the civil justice system. assuming that a case passes muster, passes the initial evaluation, then we'll bring the client in. And we'll go over the plan for moving forward. We'll establish a timeline. We will discuss the medical reports with them and try to give them a realistic expectation as to what we're looking at time-wise, money-wise, as far as expenses of the case, and a likely outcome. We'll also prepare them for the realities of litigation, which are very difficult, especially for people who have lost a relative to what they believe is someone else's negligence. We prepare them for the litigation process, which includes us filing the lawsuit and the nursing home filing a response that says we deny everything. We don't admit to any negligence. And that's something that's very difficult for a family member that's not an attorney to understand. The process is hurtful, and it takes a lot of courage to go through it. So we will try to prepare them as best we can for that, to ensure that they have realistic expectations as to what it entails and the process moving forward.
Okay. Yeah, and it's one of these things that, you know, back to the whole thing of taking meritorious cases, you know, we as attorneys, we get a bad rap because we're sitting out here basically as watchdogs in a way, to make sure that if the state action is not going to be taken, that a private action is, and rightfully so, where it benefits families and things like that. You know, I guess what we'll do here is when we return from our break, we'll talk more with Russell Lewis about nursing home abuse and neglect. Please stay with us.